Hi, thanks again for listening to the PSRB Lawcast. I'm your host, Adam Wright. Each episode, we bring you important information you need to know about deciding how to approach your personal injury case. As we say each time, this is general information only, and each person's case is specific, so please talk to an attorney to get advice relevant to you. Today, we're going to talk about something that I think a lot of us have used, but maybe not thought about some of the implications if there's an accident, and that's rideshare. Uber, Lyft, even a taxi, those sorts of things pose very unique challenges when it comes to accidents and being able to claim for injuries. And to discuss it with us today is PSRB Attorney Sondra Santanelli. Hi, Sondra.
Hi, Adam.
So rideshare, I think we're going to break this down into two components. One, if you are driving for one of these companies, which a lot of people do, and two, if you're in an accident as a passenger. So let's start with folks that are rideshare drivers. What is the most important thing they need to know if they start to go to work for Lyft or Uber?
The biggest, most important thing is they have to inform their auto insurance. As soon as they start doing it, they have to inform their auto insurance. Yes, it usually does cause your premiums and your rates to go up, but you have to inform them that you're doing it. If you don't, they can drop coverage and they can deny coverage for you if you're involved in an accident.
And one of the most important parts of coverage is PIP, right?
Yes.
So can you explain what PIP is to everybody?
Sure. So PIP is one of the coverages that they will deny. So if you're in an accident while you're driving for Lyft or Uber, and this also is the case I've found, even if you're doing like DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats, like you're not even transporting people, you're just delivering food. If you don't tell your insurance that you're doing that, and they don't give you permission to use your vehicle to do that, they can deny coverage, including property damage. So if you damage your vehicle, you damage other people's property, they'll deny that. And like you said before, they can deny PIP coverage, which here in Massachusetts is mandatory. And what PIP is, it stands for Personal Injury Protection. It's a form of no-fault insurance. So when you're in an accident, whether or not it's your fault or not, PIP, your auto company, will kick in and cover not only your benefits, but also any passengers in your car. They will cover a certain amount in your medical bills, and they can also cover reimbursement services such as lost wage reimbursement, copay and deductible reimbursement.
So if you don't tell your provider, you open yourself up to some serious liability.
Huge liability. I can't even tell you how many calls I've had in the last couple years, because the use of Uber and Lyft has increased so much, where people call and are in an accident and they just talk to their insurance company and their insurance company denies coverage for them because they never informed their insurance that they were doing rideshare.
So if you get into an accident and you're a rideshare driver, you potentially could be on the hook personally for any damage that's caused.
You could, yeah. So if you're at fault for the accident, if you, let's just say, run a stop sign while you're doing an Uber or a Lyft rideshare, and you're at fault for the accident, the other person could potentially come after you individually if you don't have insurance. And you also open yourself up, not only yourself up, but you open up your passengers as well to no insurance coverage for this accident.
So they could deny coverage for fixing the car, but also for any bodily injury that would be covered normally.
Exactly. Yeah. So they could deny covering your car. They could deny putting you in a rental. They could deny fixing other people's car that you damage or other property. And yeah, they can deny what's called bodily injury coverage. So if you're in an accident and you're at fault and you injure someone else, that person has a right to recover against your insurance for what's called bodily injury. But if you don't have any coverage, they could potentially come after you individually. It's a possibility. Yeah.
So, number one, get coverage.
Yes. Tell your insurance company. You have to tell them. It's my understanding your rates will increase, but it's my understanding it's not a crazy amount, but you have to tell your insurance company you're doing Lyft or rideshare.
Is there any additional coverage that you would recommend somebody get on top of the PIP or just the regular coverage that would should they increase their coverage limits?
Yeah, so in Massachusetts, the baseline is what's called a 2040 policy, which means the state minimum is $20,000. I strongly recommend you try and purchase a higher policy. You can do 50, 100, 100, 300, 250, 500. I always would like to play it safe and say you should get more coverage. God forbid you're in a catastrophic accident or there's a lot of people in your car. One, you'd be protecting yourself, and two, you'd be protecting the people who are in your car as well. Another coverage you could potentially purchase as well is called MedPay, which stands for medical payments. So PIP will kick in and pay your medical bills to a certain extent. Once PIP's used up, MedPay can kick in then, and they can cover additional medical expenses both for you and for passengers in your car. It adds extra protection and safety for everyone.
That's great advice. All right, let's talk about rideshare passengers. Let's say you're in an accident as a passenger in an Uber or a Lyft. What's the number one thing you need to know?
I would recommend take as much information down at the accident scene as possible.
So just like if you were driving your own car.
Exactly. So if you're able to, get out of the car, take photos of the accident scene, take photos of the car that you're in, including the license plate. Take photos if you can, not to be a creep, but of the driver. Take pictures of the other car involved. And if you can, it's my understanding when you use one of those apps like Lyft or Uber, you get a receipt and it will tell you who your driver was, at least their first name, the license plate. I would ask the driver that you're involved in the car that you're in, for their insurance information as well, if you can. Try and get as much information as you can because it's not your vehicle. So you don't know who insures the vehicle. You're already kind of at a disadvantage for that. So try and collect as much information as you possibly can at the accident scene.
And also, if you feel that it's a serious enough accident, call the police.
Absolutely.
Make sure they come.
Even if I've spoken to a lot of people who they're like, well, I didn't call the police because I didn't think it was a bad enough accident. That's not the case. Call the police, especially because you're a passenger in this car. It's not your vehicle. You're not sure who insures it. Call the cops so the police make a report. Everything's documented. You'll have everyone's information, the car information, registration number, all of that. That's really important, for reporting claims later on to insurance companies and pursuing a case.
Well, this is some great information. Sondra Santanelli from PSRB, thanks so much.
Thank you, Adam.
As always, if you'd like more information, if you want to talk to Sondra or any of our other attorneys, you can give us a call at 800-785-5399. Thanks so much for listening.